Finalmouse Starlight 12 is made from magnesium alloy, weighs 42 to 47 grams, is wireless, and has incredible battery life. It may just be the best esports mouse on the market, but it isn't perfect. It's hard to get, it costs an arm and a leg. Seriously, it's $40 more expensive than the most expensive mouse on the market. Due to this, my review will be harsh, as when something costs a premium, I expect premium results. So let's get nerdy. The only way to get your hands on a Starlight 12 is through a drop. As buying from scum of the earth, I want to punch you guys in the face as scalpers isn't advised or worth it. The crackhead who runs their Twitter reports that everyone will get one, along with taking over the world and encouraging psychedelic drug use. Okay, maybe not that last part, but he's definitely on something. So far, there have been 3 drops with a total of 6 colorways. The most recent was the Phantom and then the Pegasus very shortly after, both of which got some updates over the first drop and will be referred to as Gen 1 and Gen 2. As of me writing this review, they haven't announced the next drop, so I'd follow their Twitter or Discord to stay up to date. However, I must warn you that their Twitter requires translation, is filled with predatory marketing, flat out lies, aims to mislead customers, they constantly miss and lie about hitting shipping windows, give inaccurate specs, and have hyperbole speak. Finalmouse as a company is super shady, so do proceed with caution. The Starlight 12 comes in 2 sizes, small or medium. The medium is smaller than other medium mice. Due to this new size, I've also changed my sizing of mice. It now includes small, which is the Finalmouse Ultralight 2, or small Starlight 12, the Logitech G305, the Razer Orochi V2, or the Xtrfy MZ1, to name a few. For medium, it includes the SteelSeries Xerox 3, the Glorious Model O- wireless, and the medium Starlight 12, where I classify large as the Razer Viper Ultimate and the Logitech G Pro X Superlight, and then extra large being the Razer DeathAdder V2 Pro or the Corsair Saber RGB Pro. I find the medium size to be perfect for my 19 by 10 centimeter hands. The medium weighs 47 grams and the small weighs 42 grams, give or take 2 grams. Personally, my medium Aries is 49 grams and my small Phantom is 45 grams, making them the lightest wireless gaming mice on the market by a significant margin. The weight of these is definitely the main selling point for them and honestly makes a big difference in my aim by being easier to manipulate. My tracking and flicking aim is noticeably improved when using, and I often reach for one of these mice when trying to destroy noobs in competitive games, as I find myself hitting shots I otherwise wouldn't. But that doesn't mean it is perfect, as other aspects hold it back from being the best thing since sliced bread, which makes me sad, because I really wanted it to be better than it is. The shape is the same as all their previous mice, and one of my favorites of all time, with the small being the same as the Ultralight 2, and the medium being just a bit smaller Ultralight. Width-wise, it runs on the thinner side, which some may or may not like. The sides taper mildly in the middle, allowing for some grooves to attach to the natural places where your fingers rest. There is a medium hump that is slightly off-center to the rear, allowing it to fit into your palm well for both fingertip and claw grip. It allows me to be able to move left and right a lot with it still giving me some support on this part of my hand, which is nice. And then if I'm doing claw, it's obviously pretty much the same thing, but just a little more aerated out. Palm won't work well for most users unless if you have small hands, as both of these mice are quite small. It is quite holy, but not in the divine or sacred sense, even though they may try to make you believe that. Personally, I don't notice them, but I guess some people have a strong aversion to having holes in their mice. The magnesium alloy feels incredible without any flex. They have updated the primary clicks on the Phantom and Pegasus, and from here on out, I will be referring to my medium Aries as the Gen 1 and the small Phantom as the Gen 2. They are now using Bend Kale GM 8.0 switches for the left, right, and middle click over Omron 20mm. The upper magnesium is now pre-tensioned to make clicks feel lighter and snappier. Last, the mylar pads that control left and right tolerance have been redesigned to prevent them from sliding off. I've never had any issues with my mylar pads, so I can't comment on that. But I do notice a difference between the clicks on my Gen 1 versus Gen 2. But I'm not really sure how much of this is just luck of the draw over actual improvements. As with my Gen 1, if I hold down this piece on my mouse itself, it makes the Gen 1 clicks feel very light, crisp, and snappy. With the Gen 2, I don't have to hold down this piece because it's already held down, which makes me believe this is the upper magnesium being pre-tensioned at work. So these are the Gen 1 switches where that's the click. So, and then if I go all the way down, didn't really matter where I clicked for that. Where the Gen 2 switches, if I'm clicking they're just a lot more snappier. The pre-travel is a lot less, so I would say this has low pre-travel. It has low post-travel too, just because like you can very clearly feel the click, but I would say moderate post-travel, and I would say that it has moderate spring back force on both of them, with it being a little bit more noticeable on the Gen 2 switches. And just to show off the other side too, that's me being as careful as I can to click just right as when I feel it, and then me bottoming out, and then on the other click, and me bottoming out, and then, I don't know if you want to see the side there, there you go, and then we'll do the side over here. And then the Gen 1 switches just don't feel as premium, especially when comparing side to side. I think they have a little more pre and post travel just in general. And then the spring back force just isn't as good, which I already alluded to and repeated myself. So moving on. Overall, these clicks feel good, but a bit heavy and slow. This is exacerbated by slow firmware, especially when compared to the Razer Viper Ultimate, G Pro X, or Model O- wireless, which sucks and really detracts from this mouse. The Logitech G Pro X, Razer Viper Ultimate, SteelSeries Xerox 3, and Glorious Model O- wireless all feel a lot better and have faster firmware. And that's only naming the ones that I could immediately think of off the top of my head. But if I had to compare them to other firmware, I would say like the Xtrfy MZ1 has very similar firmware speed and click speed. For those of you who are looking at the engravings on the primary clicks and sweating about how they may drive you crazy, you can rest easy. You don't notice them with normal use. I do notice now that I'm looking closer that I do have some grime in my left one that I used a whole bunch, but obviously nothing in my newest one because I haven't had it long enough. I am happy that they updated the clicks, but the issues with the Gen 1 clicks should have never made it through the QA process to begin with. The fix was also incredibly fast, making a part of me wonder if they were aware of those issues the whole entire time, sold the mice anyways, and then spun it to make it seem like they were listening to customer feedback. As that wouldn't really surprise me, as that would be something that I could totally see Finalmouse doing. If they did do that, not only is it not ethical, but also frustrating to Gen 1 Starlight owners who paid a premium for a mouse and got a sub-premium version of it. The side clicks are some of my favorite on any mice ever. They are in the ideal place, but most importantly, they are the perfect size while having a complex shape. And what I mean by that is it's kind of hard to see in this video, but you can kind of see how there's like a taper groove there, and then it goes flat. And then on this one, that's a little bit bigger, it's a little easier to see the taperedness and then the edges there. And what that allows you to do is be able to roll click either one of these mice really easy and naturally, or if you want to just a direct click too, it makes it very, very simple. Buttons are also just in the ideal place for your thumb for either roll clicking or like dedicated clicking as well. Just feels really good no matter what grip style you have or which size you're using. As for the side clicks, for the Gen 2, they have mild pre-travel and mild post-travel with a moderate spring-back force, making them feel quite well. On the Gen 1, they weren't as good. They were a little, I would say that it has mild pre-travel with moderate post-travel with a mild spring back force, making them feel a little bit mushy. So I am happy that there is some improvement, but again, that could just be due to the size, or maybe they did do some changes there. Personally, I'd rate them as excellent, and they are some of my favorite side clicks on any mouse, period. As for the scroll wheel, it is the best scroll wheel I've tried from Finalmouse. I like the size, makes it very easy to find in game without having to lift up your finger a whole lot, and then it has very dedicated steps without being very loud, which is the case on either one of my mice. They feel exactly the same, so I think I just got lucky with my scroll wheel. And then middle mouse click requires moderate pressure to actuate with mild pre-travel and post-travel with and they're very, very easy to spam click, so I have no complaints about the wheel itself. It also requires light actuation to actually scroll with. The Gen 2 has received an update, as they were previously slightly off-center and continued to have some defects. This was due to some variability between the magnesium cuts and where the top plate for the primary clicks was placed. Mine, for both of them, is straight, but a lot of others, they weren't. Now, the wheel tooling has been modified by 0.2 millimeters to center it perfectly, which makes me wonder if there was ever QA done on these mice to begin with, as that issue also should have been noticed very easily and quickly. The wheel post and housing now have added stability without adding weight to help reduce defective units. They adjusted the encoder debounce to prevent accidental mouse wheel up and down actuation that was present with some mice. Last, there is a new process to the magnesium fabrication to prevent abnormalities such as dead zones and or warp, which should also help reduce issues. I didn't experience any of these, so again, I can't really comment on them or the improvement, but did see a lot of people mention them, so thought that was important. And just to further show you, there is my Finalmouse Starlight 12, so I would say that looks centered to me. And then here is my other one, which also looks centered to me. Maybe it's a little bit off on the right, but to me that looks pretty darn centered. I'm going from the top end here. I would say, again, that still looks centered to me for both of them, so I didn't really have any complaints for that. To sum up, since I went on some tangents there, shape, size, and weight are excellent and some of the best on the market. Primary clicks appear to be greatly improved on the Gen 2, but I still worry about possible variability between units and find that plenty of other mice do it better, as these can come across as heavy and slow. The firmware is a bit slow, leading to not as responsive of clicks. Hopefully this is improved on the upcoming firmware update. I love the side buttons, but some may find them to be slightly mushy. Scroll wheel has been improved as well, but for me it feels and looks the same as my old one. I'd rate both as excellent, but Finalmouse has a poor record when it comes to them withstanding the test of time. Moving on to the rest of the specs, they finally updated from the ancient 3360 sensor to the FinalSensor, and Q, epic music, upgraded from 500 Hz to 1000 Hz. Earth-shattering, next dimensional, never been seen before. We're cutting edge, baby. What, Bob? We're at 2000 Hz for wireless mice now? Well, FinalSensor is impressive on paper with 20,000 CPI and 450 IPS, but with no software or hidden button combinations, you're stuck with preset values of 400, 800, 1600, and 3200 DPI, which is probably as high as you need or should go, but being limited that severely is wild to me in 2022. If I want 20,000 DPI, give me 20,000 DPI. I haven't noticed any issues with the sensor. I can still make kids cry with it, but it doesn't feel as premium as Logitech's Hero or Razer's Focus Plus sensor. Liftoff distance is low at 1mm, which I think is great, but others are like, boo, because they're heathens and they like their mouse skipping around when they raise or lower it. So much so that Finalmouse will actually allegedly be releasing a firmware update that unlocks a button combo at boot to change between 1 and 2mm. Hopefully, with that update, you also get more button combos for DPI switching and reduced click latency. Actually, just copy Xtrify across the board, please. We all know that you're not above it. It would also be nice if you took some ideas from Corsair where you can actually on the fly adjust your DPI. Would probably be even more ideal than just copying the rest of Xtrify. They have cut the cord and it now uses Godspeed wireless tech because they totally don't have a chip on their shoulder. But to me, that's a bit on the nose. But they report it uses the Nordic RF platform, specifically NRF 52840, that was developed in-house. I haven't experienced any stutters or disconnections, but from the video testing, showed it was behind Razer's and Logitech's, but not by much, and shouldn't cause you any concerns or issues. This could also be where the added click latency is coming into play, but I noticed the same thing whether it's wired or wireless, so I highly doubt it. The second most impressive thing about this mouse is the battery life. Seriously, it's unreal. It blows my mind. It makes the Logitech G Pro X Superlight look like a fool. They report it uses a JAUCH, which I totally said wrong, JAUCH lithium battery, and have done a bunch of power optimization to the sensor, PCB, and firmware to allow it to work on an average for 160 hours. They say it should work for 7 weeks on average, 3 weeks below average, with an idle time of 16 weeks. I dare say these may be conservative estimates. I charged my Gen 1 when I first got it on July 1st, and I have charged it one other time since then. And that is me using it as my primary mouse. I know, mind blown. My new Phantom has also been used a ton since I got it and is still going on strong on the original battery charge. I haven't even plugged it in because I haven't needed to, and it still has a full battery, as noted by when I turn it on. It's got a little green light. I don't know if it actually showed up on camera or not because my hand might have been covering it, but there was a green light. Speaking of which, I checked what the percentage is, but oh wait, that's right. They don't have any software, so I can't check the percentage. The only thing it does show you is that when you have a low battery, that it will pulsate red. When you plug it in, it will continue to pulsate orange and then turn into a solid green when fully charged. It uses micro USB to charge, which is lame, but acceptable since you almost never have to use it. It also cuts down a little bit on weight, but not really by a noticeable margin. The included paracord charging cable is slightly above average, but with the mouse being so lightweight, when plugged in, it becomes very top heavy, as the cord almost weighs as much as the mouse does, which is kind of funny and also just kind of weird when you're using it. So summing up that portion, sensor and wireless perform well, but isn't anything groundbreaking. I noticed no issues with either one, but it doesn't feel as premium as Logitech or Razer's. Battery life is absolutely unreal, where a lot of companies will say like, oh, it's got 160 hours of battery life, but that's usually for Bluetooth. This is for the actual wireless is at least 160 hours. The paracord is above average, but ends in micro USB, which is kind of like why, but acceptable since the battery life is unreal. Moving on to the build quality, it is the best I've ever seen on a mouse since it's got a magnesium alloy base while being the lightest mouse I've ever used. It can get cold to the touch if your room is cold, but under normal conditions, it feels just fine. It feels incredible in the hand as you've got two contrasting things. You've got something that is ultra lightweight, but feels incredibly solid. However, the bottom of the mouse is made from Ultim to allow the RF signal out. With my Aries, if I squeeze, there is some flex on the side right there. I don't know if you can actually see it, but there is a little bit of flex going on. Where with the Starlight 12 Phantom Gen 2, I have zero flex whatsoever. I don't know if that is due to this being a smaller mouse or due to any of the improvements. As again, they do report that they made some improvements here as well, as the PCB is more securely mounted to the Ultim base to prevent it from popping out of its tabs and prevent creaking and flex. I still don't recommend putting any pressure to the base, as it has been voted the most likely place to break, and all the internals are held in place by said base, so if that breaks, so does the rest of your mouse, and that just sounds like depression waiting to happen. The PTFE are great. They are 100% rounded and rather thick. I have absolutely no complaints on them. And then just to show you for the other one, they hold up well over time. I haven't had any issues with it. It comes with a 1-year premium warranty service, which means if there is an issue, a trained Finalmouse tech will repair or solve specific issues, so you can keep your laser engraved number. After the first year, there will be fees associated with shipping/handling. I find this warranty to be highly disappointing for a lot of reasons. A, their marketing makes you believe that this is the best thing since sliced bread and can be passed down to your grandchildren, yet they give you a 1-year limited warranty, which means they don't believe what they're preaching. B, other mice on the market tend to have at least a 2-year warranty. C, I'd also imagine the turnaround time for warranty repair would be ridiculously long. And D, again, for $189, this is just completely unacceptable in my opinion. Moving on to the conclusion, this is a top tier mouse that feels great in the hand and I love using it. I reach for it most of the time no matter what I'm doing because the magnesium shell feels cool to the touch upon first grabbing and warms up with my aim. It's also super lightweight, making flicks, tracking, and generalized aiming a breeze, and I've noticed an improvement in my gaming due to this. Unfortunately, the primary clicks for the Aries are a bit stiff, making it feel sluggish, difficult to spam, and need improvement. But for my Phantom, feel good, but not as premium as my other top tier mice, taking away a lot of the magic. The scroll wheel, side buttons, shape, and size are all great. Wireless is perfectly adequate. Battery life is the best thing since sliced bread, but the USB micro charger is kind of like mold and disappointing. I still think this mouse has ways to improve, but the improvements that they made on the Gen 2 took away a lot of the negatives. But I'm still annoyed, disappointed, and sad that a mouse that cost $189, which is $40 more than the G Pro X Superlight and the Razer Viper Ultimate, and is limited through getting it through drops only, has any, and I mean any issues or mistakes at all, as it should be nearly flawless with a better warranty. Personally, I'd prefer to see crisper primary clicks, perhaps even optical switches, improved side clicks, faster firmware, and the ability to adjust settings with or ideally without software. I also expect to not have any defects in the shell or other issues. Obviously, nothing can always be perfect, so on the off case that something is defective, the warranty should cover it with a quick turnaround time. As when your product is the most expensive thing on the market, I expect premium tier service. Anything less means your product needs to be cheaper or you aren't holding up your end of the deal. But I doubt we will ever see any improvement here, as Finalmouse has two goals. The first, to be a premium brand like Apple, Chanel, Louis Vuitton, that can put a price on a product and people will buy it whether it's worth that or not because of the status that it comes with. And two, to make as much money as possible on their products, as there will always be customers, so if we burn through old stock, who the heck cares? Which brings me to my recommendation. I love this mouse, but Finalmouse as a company is gross, as is their marketing and business practice, which makes me hate supporting them. But I'm a hypocrite and really enjoy their mouse, so I continue to support them. Part of me also does it for my YouTube channel to educate others on what they are getting or really not getting. If Finalmouse didn't change the game so often, I would forget about them, but unfortunately they're kind of like that girlfriend that you know is going to ruin you, but you go back to anyways. So if you have the money and the one, I don't think you'll be fully disappointed with your purchase. I think you may have a nice honeymoon phase where you go, this is great and I love it and it's amazing, but over time I think the newness will fade and you'll go into, this is a really nice mouse, but the price probably isn't justified, as you can easily get a mouse that is at least 95% as good for at least $40 to $90 less. The only thing you'll be missing is it being slightly lighter, the magnesium shell, the unique color, and it being limited edition. So for the mass majority of users, I repeat, I do not think there is a big enough difference when compared to the Razer Viper Ultimate, Logitech G Pro X Superlight, Model O minus wireless, SteelSeries Xerox 3 2022 edition, Razer Orochi V2, and others for the price. But if you have some money and can nab one in a drop, go for it, especially if you are a mouse collector. But the third-party market price is simply too high to recommend to anyone, as the justifiability of retail price is already excessive. What are your thoughts on Finalmouse? Did you pick up the Starlight 12? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Let me know in the comment section below, as I'd love to have a chat. Otherwise, I will see you and your beautiful face on the next one. God bless and peace out.